Is the correction over? Was this the last chance to buy altcoins? Let's go over a couple really interesting things that we are seeing right now when it comes to alt season, when it's coming to huge news and the Bitcoin breakout that we are currently witnessing, and also the resistance that we are may facing pretty soon. So welcome to the FOMO Factory. If you like the video, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. If you are bullish on the market, let me know down below. If you are bearish on the market, seek therapy. Sorry. If you are long-term bearish, then just don't. Okay. Short term, I don't know, anything could happen. But damn, even in the short term, we saw a pretty good run up. Right. Now, what happened yesterday? Yesterday, we got the FOMC meeting and they said, no rate cuts, no ending of QT. It's what everybody expected. It's boring as shit. We move on. And everybody was like, okay, whatever. Like, we kind of saw that coming, right? There was no QT, and especially at the end of QT, and there was no rate cuts priced in. There is a good chance that this will happen in the coming months, though. And that is really going to shock the market. Now, Bitcoin is currently flying though. And we made a video yesterday where we said like, hey, it is actually looking really good as Bitcoin is using this previous support resistance like we were for months, that it's going to use that as support again, right? And it did. It bounced and it is like bouncing off of it really hard right now. I do think that the level kind of where we are right now, 99.6, whatever, is going to be some resistance in the short term. If we do break that though, I can see Bitcoin going back to its all-time high pretty easily actually. Now, the thesis for me was like said like, hey, on the daily, everything looks a little overbought. We might get a correction, right? And that dip will be the dip to buy, right? And what do I mean with the dip to buy? There are a lot of dips in crypto, right? And not every dip is a dip to buy, especially when it comes to the altcoin market. If you buy every 10% correction, then you ran out of money before we really get a good correction that you should buy, right? But this one will be one to buy. Now, for Bitcoin, the correction wasn't even like that big. Bitcoin had a correction of 4.5%, right? So that's not even that spectacular. But if you look at the altcoin market, while Bitcoin was going sideways / down, the altcoin market was going down harder because the Bitcoin dominance went up, and the altcoin market overall saw a correction of 12%, right? And there are coins that went down harder than that, of course. Now, that was one to buy, in my opinion. I said the daily stochastic RSI was overheated, needs to reset. It has done a reset right now. And with this small correction that we had, it is already pointing to the upside again, right? And what do we see? When it's now pointing to the upside, the altcoin market already has a 10% pump, basically taking out this whole correction in one candle, in, well, two candles, three. But it is pumping really easy. And that's mostly because these alts are cheap. Listen, cheap altcoins are not bad. It's not something to thought about. It's not something to be scared of. Cheap altcoins are just cheap altcoins, right? What do I mean? Well, if we look at Uniswap, for example, right, the biggest DEX on well, the biggest DEX basically token, right? So we know that we are talking about a high cap coin that has a bunch of utility, right? If you have one coin, you have to name like which coin has utility, then it's this one. People use Uniswap all the time, right? Now, if you look at this coin, it showed like, hey, without alt season, it can pump to $20, right? Without alt season. This was in the middle of QT, okay? To be very clear, if you overlay the Fed balance sheet, that's the thing that we're all waiting for, right? To turn around, which is going to happen. Yeah, middle of full QT, right? It had a pump of like 4x from this level, no problem. For a high cap in a QT environment, That's crazy, right? So we are now back at these levels right now. It is so easy for these coins to pump right now, right? Because again, here it showed like, hey, it can have a 42% pump in a single week when it's sitting at $12, right? So why can't it have a at least such a pump? Now it's sitting at $5, right? And that's what we are seeing with a lot of alts right now. And Uniswap is for that not the best example, but we do see a lot of altcoins that are up pretty decent from their cycle lows right now. If you look at the chain GPT, right, it has 5 weeks green in a row right now, right? It's a slow but steady grind. It's not one huge unsustainable candle or anything, somewhat like this, where it just pumped like freaking 130% in a week, right? It's a steady growth. And that's good because, there is no Q or there's no QE, but QT is still going on, right? So the outlook is really, really, really good right now. Now, again, this was a dip to buy. Fine. We had that. Is it too late to buy right now? Depends what you want to buy, right? I mean, some coins are up 2x from their lows. But again, I mean, if you bought Chain GPT right here, also wasn't a bad buy. You still made a 4.5x in this run right here. Right? But yeah, you did not get the absolute lows. Try to let that go. You should not try to time that anyway, right? Now, the nice thing is the news that is coming out right now is so incredible. But this is not the type of news that you can say like, oh yeah, that's now priced in, so it won't do anything. Arizona, New Hampshire set the blueprint. Texas and North Carolina are pushing to see who's next. Now let's watch the other states kick into high gears. This is a race in which you don't want to finish last. And now this is what we are seeing. Arizona is the second to pass a state strategic Bitcoin reserve, right? And there will be more and more and more, right? So there are states now. This is crazy. It's happening right now, but the actual money that has to flow into crypto because of these reserves, that didn't happen yet. Only a couple of people of retail that's barely there that look at this and be like, oh, that's bullish, let me buy it, right? Buying into the bullish news. That's not the smartest retail that's pumping it right now, right? So the real pump is yet to come. Now, in the Alpha Factory, there's a link down below if you want to jump in the Discord, but there is so much good information. But also, for over 18 months, Bitcoin has been tracking the global M2 almost perfectly while staircasing up between these trend lines. Does it look like by the first week of August, we finally break out of this pattern to the upside? We should have more information about this in the coming weeks, but this should be really, really, really exciting, right? It's been really following it, and we just see the M2 blowing up. So I feel like, man, if you are now in crypto, you are playing this game not even on easy mode, but with cheat codes. Because people that are not in crypto right now, they don't know about the M2. They don't even know what it is, right? They don't know what to expect. And a few people that are in crypto, they know this. And they be like, oh, okay, but that's, how it's looking. That's what we should focus on. Cool. Let me get into the right position. Let me not be a bear right now, right? How can you here say like, let's be bearish? Like, why? What? I don't have the right words, but we do have the right gems though, because we're going to talk about a couple of altcoins as well. Because I think it's time, man. I think it's time. I don't like mentioning individual altcoins too much on this channel. But I do feel like, man, if your attention span is long enough and if you have a time horizon that's bigger than just looking like, hey, what's going to happen today or tomorrow? And if you feel like, hey, I want to invest today to maybe by the end of the year, have a huge difference in my portfolio in a positive way, yeah, then this is for you. Because again, we see all this news. We see all these charts, how the macro is moving right now. the institutions again buying these coins OTC gonna give us the biggest supply shock that we have ever seen. We have all this confirmation and prices are still low. Now, why is that? I think it is very simple. Whatever the reason may be that we didn't have an alt season yet, which probably has to do with the fat balance sheet, right? Altcoins haven't outperformed yet. Bitcoin going from 100K to 150 is big. But does it make the big retail mainstream headlines that gets you interested in crypto? You look and be like, oh man, I wish I bought 10 years ago. That's how everybody looks at that, right? However, if people look at an altcoin that does a 10x, they'll be like, oh, but there are more alts. Let me get into alts. It's a domino effect, right? But there's no retail right now. And therefore, these times are so great. Again, because we are sitting on the biggest pile of confirmation you can literally get in crypto, while it's also seasonality wise lining up, it makes all the sense in the world, right? Share that. But prices are still low. Yeah, that's great. You can think like, well, that's because this time is different and it's not going to happen. Right? Suit yourself, right? But you can also be like, dude, this is an opportunity that we have seen a couple times, like once or twice every cycle, maybe even once. And that's the moment where you are scared. But that's also the moment where you should take it, right? The best opportunity doesn't come with the most comfortable feeling. That's just not how this works, right? So, therefore, I want to look at alts, right? Now, if we look at the Bitcoin season index, this light is like terrible. I think that you are even annoyed by it. Let me make myself a little smaller. So that's what she said. Look, we were in Bitcoin season, right? It's pretty clear. And this is over a 90-day moving average. Overall, we have been in a Bitcoin season. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance, it has been going up, basically up only, right? And of course, we have moments where it went down a little bit, but that was not to be called an alt season, right? The last time we peaked here in alt season territory was in December last year, right? December last year was where we had this dominance having the biggest correction in this cycle so far. But if you look closely, we didn't get really high into it. And we stayed into it for like, what was it? From December 3rd until December 9, right? Not even a week. So it was more like the market was like, hey, what's that altcoin territory? Okay, never mind, right? That's what it is. It was nothing, right? This was nothing. We could see that. It was nothing compared to how high we went into it right here and how long, or here, right? Or here. Yet, the altcoin market in that period saw this leg. There was this leg. It was like the second leg of this cycle, right? So far. And that's what we saw last cycle as well. At the bottom, we had the first leg that basically got us out of the bear market. Right here as well. Bottom, first leg that got us out of the bear market. Correction of 60%. Correction of, 60%. The second leg, bad news, COVID, black swan, right? Bad news, tariffs, not a black swan, but, somewhat similar. And off we go, right? And off we go in the post-halving year. It's not a post-halving year. And the outlook is fantastic right now. So it's actually, it's so obvious, man. Now, we are pointing up a little bit right now. We are climbing out of that Bitcoin season based on this chart. Does it mean that it is alt season right now? No, it's not alt season, right? I think that's pretty clear right now. The Bitcoin dominance is above 65%, right? altcoins on the Bitcoin pair are still sitting at this low right here. It's not an alt season. But when is the best moment to buy alts? When you are at the top of Bitcoin season, right? If you look at the Bitcoin dominance again, like, hey, if you in the last cycle didn't buy alts here, didn't buy here, didn't buy here, didn't buy here, but you start to buy right here, right? Maybe here, and you rode at alt season, you did fucking fantastic, right? And maybe like this is not going to repeat, of course, right? This is just how it went last cycle. It could be that it's going to be like this, right? It could be that it's going to be like this. I don't know. I have no idea, right? But I think though, if I have to guess, it's going to happen rather sooner than later. Why? Again, we are getting further in the post-halving year. Let's not ignore seasonality, right? We have been calling like, hey, this time is not different for years. And in the whole time, people said, oh, Bitcoin new cycle or new high before the halving or this or that. At the end of the day, cycle is still fucking doing what it always does, right? So this time is different thing. You really have to let that go, right? You really have to let that go. It doesn't work, okay? Until it does. But who knows when that's going to be, right? So when do we, in my opinion, get that alt run? And how am I positioning for that? Well, I'm about to tell you. And this is going to be really juicy, actually. So when alt season and how to prepare, right? Well, when alt season, again, I think, I'm saying soon. And I know I've said that 5 months ago as well. And hey, here we are. I get it. Doesn't really like, if you want to look at the odds, I can say like, hey, I expected alt season right here, give or take. End of 2024, beginning 2025, right? Oh, we got that December rally, but again, I don't think that was an alt season, right? Now we are here. Cool. But it's not smart, in my opinion, to be like, oh, alt season will come. It 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 will come. Ah, fuck it. It's not coming. Let's be in Bitcoin. Right? That's how people are playing this right now. It's like, again, if your timing is off, then whatever. Hold on longer. Right? That it's now 2 months later than what it was, for example, in 2017. Yeah, 2 months difference in a 4-year cycle. I don't see that as a problem, actually. The Fed needs to stop QT soon. They will run out on the balance sheet. They don't have a choice, right? That will happen. Technical wise and sentiment wise, again, Bitcoin dominance sitting at 56%. It's really high. It's getting really close to the next big FIP extension level of 66, right? The Bitcoin dominance, excluding stables, is sitting at resistance. The weekly stochastic RSI is overbought as fuck, right? It's been more overbought than... these were all like these. Look how long we are here right now, right? It's really... it's more comparable to this, man. And look, bam, on the Bitcoin dominance as well. It is really overbought, really overbought. And as soon as this starts to point down, which could happen today, next week, in 4 weeks, I don't know. But I feel like, man, how obvious is this going to get for you, right? If you look at the dominance for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stables, this is, if you've been in money markets, then you recognize this pattern, right? You recognize the typical accumulation uptrend, distribution downtrend, accumulation uptrend, distribution, right? Now let that line up with the fact that this is overbought on the bigger time frames and all the macro conditions. You cannot believe that this is not going to happen anymore. Right. Also, if you look at the Bitcoin dominance risk, and I've showed this a couple times right now, but I'm gonna keep showing this because this makes everything, it gives it the final obviousness, in my opinion. Risk levels, right? Low risk is asset bullish. High risk is asset bearish, right? Same applies to Bitcoin. If you only look at the low risk levels, just buy there, right? Just buy there. You'll be fine, right? If you only look at the high risk levels, sell there. It's that easy, right? You can apply this on the dominance as well. And if you look at that, then you can see this, right? Let me check. I have to make my screen a little bit smaller, whatever. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance and you apply the highest risk level, bam, that's where we are right now. We're sitting at 0.935. Again, right before we went into 2021 alt season, it set at 0.96, right? And in 2017, it was even sitting at 0.7 something. Right, this is the final chart that shows, hey, everything we look at, I confirm that it's time right now, right? Could it be that it goes to 68% first? Sure, right? But again, are you going to use this chart to say like, well, I'm not going to step into altcoins because it might go here or here first before we go here? Like, man, please do yourself a favor. So when it comes to when alt season, look, we just had the FOMC meeting saying no QT yet. And if that should be the trigger for alt season, then maybe not before within now and a month, actually, right? However, you should realize a lot of people are waiting for QT. I can literally see them saying that in chats, like, well, I'll just wait for QT and then buy alts. You think you're smart? Everybody's doing that, right? Right? If you look at the last cycle, altcoins on the Bitcoin pair, right? And we overlay the Fed balance sheet here as well, what do you all notice? Well, the first thing that I notice is that it doesn't overlay it. Here we go. What you'll notice is that QT stopped here, right? September. Here, QT stopped. When did altcoins bottom? A month earlier, right? So waiting for QT to stop is definitely not a guarantee. Like, hey, after that they will go. It could be that they are bottoming right now, right? And that we then get the QT to stop beginning September, maybe beginning of June, right? Or July, whatever. Could be. So when it comes to when alt season, if you want me to give you a date, sorry, I'm not gonna give it to you. You should go on Tinder for that. I don't know, right? I have no idea, right? Could be next month, could be the month after that, could be the end of the year, if by any means, right? Could be. The whole business cycle has been moved a little bit to the right so far, right? So if you would ask me like, hey, is the cycle different? If it is, which so far is not really proved, but then it's going to be moved more to the right. So in that case, yeah, we have a little more time to prepare. It could be, right? Now, that it is going to happen this year, yeah, I'm pretty confident. And I actually think, again, sooner rather than later, because again, if you look at altcoin dominance, for example, on the bigger time frame, it is just starting to point up, right? Just starting to point up. When have we seen that in this cycle? Well, we have seen that here. We were sitting here, right? It was just after this bottom, a couple weeks after that, right? And then it had that December lag. And after we were that oversold, yeah, here, right? It was this point. That was actually this candle right here before we went into the bull market. Now we are seeing that for the third time. And could it be that it does something like this and then goes up? Sure, we did that over here, right? Could be. Therefore, I'm never 100% sure. But man, it's looking good. The dollar look, I mean, what you'll notice, right, is that the market started to pump already a few weeks ago, right? Here at the April 7, week of April 7, right? When did the dollar do that? Was here, right? So that's pretty correlated. Now, the dollar, I mean, it is up, but it's not that I'm saying like, oh, it's back, it's strong again, right? No. But this little pump by the dollar, this little bounce back to of 2%. If you look at well, if you look at the altcoin market, it made the altcoin market so far, the high cap alts already go up with 35%, right? It made Bitcoin already go up with 34%. What do you think if the dollar really recovers, right? And it's gonna follow the M2 just further like it does so far. Obvious, in my opinion. So, long enough. I want to wrap it up. Let's talk about some specifics, right? Okay, so cool. The altcoin market, every idiot knows that that's the place where you want to be right now. Do you want to be in the low caps and the risky ones? Not necessarily. But is it very easy to make a lot of gains with good altcoins if you are just not a little whiner at these low prices? Yeah, you could have already been sitting on a 2x. Congratulations, you missed out because you were fighting back there. Nice job, dude. Is it, however, still a good moment to buy, in my opinion? Yeah, I mean, in the long term, if you buy here, then you will should be fine if you are in the good assets, right? Definitely. So let's get into some specifics. Now, one that I am definitely going to buy is Cardano, right? Why Cardano? Because Cardano is fucking obvious, in my opinion, right? If you look at the chart, I've showed this before. I'm not going to explain it. Take a screenshot of what I'm showing right here, and you will want to buy Cardano, period, right? That's that easy, in my opinion. But I'm not buying it yet. I rather wait for it to go a little lower. And if it doesn't, I already have a bag of coins that goes up with it, right? So that's one. Purely chart-wise, best looking chart I have ever seen. Narrative-wise, yeah, who the fuck buys Cardano, right? The people that know it, right? It is getting a little blue chipish, right? Like you have Ethereum, Cardano, Dogecoin, XRPs in that row. Yeah, these are the coins that everybody knows, right? And people will always come back to those. So that's one that I would buy. Another one that I would buy is probably either Uniswap or Cake. Why? Because these are the native tokens of the biggest DEXs. If people come into crypto, there's not a guarantee that they will buy your meme coins. There's not a guarantee that they will be interested in gaming coins or in RWA or in AI. But if people are in crypto, what is a guarantee? That they use exchanges, right? You need to use an exchange to buy whatever. Now, you can buy exchange tokens. You can buy DEX tokens as well. I think DEX tokens have a better revenue share. And in that case, I remember how easy it was in 2021. All my normie friends, they were on PancakeSwap, right? And they will come back to that. So in that case, I feel like, okay, Cake and or Uni, right? And there are like, I'm also in Trader Joe, but these are the ones that I don't have yet. It's just like a pretty safe bet, like that's almost guaranteed to go up if people come back into crypto, no matter what the current hype is by then. And another thing that I am definitely stacking up more on is Seedify. I had some people saying like, oh, you only talk about Seedify. No, I don't only talk about Seedify, but it is a project that I indeed cover more when it comes to individual projects. Why is that? Because I like the project and therefore I do talk about it. And it showed that Seedify in a bullish market just simply pumps really, really, really hard, right? Here is when the market kind of bottomed out. Everything did a 5x from that point. CeFi did a casual 10x, right? No problem. That's the thing with launchpads. They go up way harder in a market that's positive, right? And they go down harder in a market that's not positive because, hey, when the market is good, people want to just get into new projects. When the market is bad, they can even, you know, keep their own money in the coins that they have, let alone new projects. Therefore, CeFi is such a great position to be in this type of market. Now, I spoke about it earlier as well, a little bit already, but they are completely rebranding the whole project. They were a launchpad, they are a launchpad. They are the blue chip launchpad, the most innovative. They had an insane run in 2021 with gaming. They have multiple 100x's that they have made. And now they are going to do it completely different. There's an article right here. I'm going to leave it in the description so you can read it for yourself. But I do think, and if you read this, you're going to be bullish. And what are the key points? They're basically going to make a whole new launchpad, kind of how a mixture between like virtuals and pump fund did it, to make it a lot more accessible, but also a lot safer, right? Because pump fund is basically completely decentralized, and people, they often feel like, hey, decentralized positive. Give a decentralized shitcoin platform to a bunch of scammy degens. It's not that positive, in my opinion. CeFi make sure that it's still safe, but that it's also really innovative and accessible. And the cool thing is that projects that release right there, they have their liquidity paired with CeFi. So if there is a good project that does 100x, can that happen in a bull market? Yeah, then CeFi automatically profits from that as well. And that's the biggest demand shock for the S-Fund token. Right now, this is a lot. This is big. Like, this has to play out, and this is not a small change. And this is, there could be things that are, you know, that they're going to struggle with, or that don't play out like they want to. That's, of course, possible, right? But you do have to realize that this is coming from a team that knows what the hell they are doing. They have shown like, hey, look what CeFi did. And therefore, I'm price-wise also really, really bullish on the S-Fund token. Look at this. CeFi in 2021 went to a $350 million market cap. In 2024, without Altseason, they went a little higher. Not a lot of projects did that, where they can beat their Altseason all-time high in a mid-cycle relief pump. This was not the Altseason pump that people thought that this was, right? But CeFi already showed like, oh, easy, no problem. We just need a favorable market and the rest will happen. Let alone if they now create like 30 times as much demand for the token. It's a complete flywheel, as they say. Users join launches by buying in with S-Fund, so you need S-Fund in the first place to get into new projects. Projects launch through S-Fund, and the liquidity is paired and locked in S-Fund, right? Now, all they need to do is make sure that this is a popular place to, for people to launch their projects. Well, again, it's coming from the biggest launchpad. So, hey, I'm not that concerned about that. This is going to give the biggest supply crunch, as they say, that we may witness. And this is going to be more than a launchpad token, right? This new launch is about building an entire economy around S-Fund. More launches, more utilities, stronger network, stronger S-Fund. So I'm reading it all over the place right now, right? But you should read this. It's a launchpad where any project can launch, but with built-in security protections, right? So you know what the problem with Pump Fund was. But then again, you also know how extremely popular it was. Smart bonding curve that helps a project distribute tokens safely and fairly with a preferential and engaging access system, more social than ever with a new scoring system that will take into account your CeFi and social media journey, and S-Fund at the core, like we spoke about. So it's also that you need to interact, and people will want to interact. Like, this is huge. This is really huge, and this is so clever. I love it. So again, it's my biggest bag for a long time already, and this shows again. It gives me a reason. Like, yeah, this is why, right? So that's definitely what I will keep on stacking up on, especially if you look at these price. Like, again, we have so much confirmation and opportunity. You don't see that combination a lot, right? So that's what I'll be stacking up on. And other than that, Ethereum, really simple and maybe really boring, but it's probably the most obvious bet, right? Ethereum, chart wise, it is coming against its Bitcoin pair, right? It's coming from a level where it was sitting in January 2020, right? Where was it on the dollar back then? January 2020, Ethereum was sitting at 130 bucks, right? It's sitting at the same place when it comes to the dominance as where it was sitting in the same period, right? And it happens to bounce here right now. Maybe it's too soon to call, I don't know, but it's a better opportunity than ever. And guess what people are now saying about it? It's dead. Yeah, the best opportunities came from the coins that people said they were dead, right? It's ETH. It's not your fucking shitcoin. It's ETH, okay? So that's what I will be stacking up on as well. Plus, like I said, it's been being bought OTC like crazy. Guys, it's being there. This is an altcoin that's being bought on presidential level. But you as retail feel like, oh, no, I'm so smart, it's dead. Fuck off, dude. Like, come on, man. It's not like, so I don't know. ETH, I can see the ETH do is 4 or 5x this cycle, right? And you might feel like, well, that's not a 20x. Yeah, but you also barely have to take risk compared to other alts. So, hey, pretty great, right? So overall, is there something that I forgot? Very probably. Yeah, and the cherry on top, again, is that everything we spoke about, how bullish it looks, you might be like, whoa, it's not going to happen. Look, if you look at the social metrics, again, this is sitting so extremely low. So tell me, where are the sellers, right? This is a lot of potential buyers, right? But, if people are already in crypto, then they can sell. If people are not in crypto, they can only buy. And this always lined up with a good buying opportunity, these low, so I don't know. I assume that every bear is now off of this channel. I don't want you here anymore for the coming couple months. If you are, then watch this video, please, and help yourself. This is really the opportunity that we have been waiting for. And I know that the reputation of YouTubers is like they've been calling for opportunity all the time, but then they show you bullshit charts. I hope this was helpful, really. And if you were already bullish, I just hope it's motivating, right? It would have helped me in my last cycles if I would look at something like this, like, hey, it may confirm something for me, right? Let's not sell too quick. Let's not be emotional at lows. I don't know, man. Now, there's a lot more information in the Alpha Factory. So there is a link down below. It's a private Discord. There's a smart group of people, Kata, posting exclusive videos. I do. You can get on a one-on-one call with me every month or so to go a little over your portfolio, your strategy. I'm going to show you what my portfolio is. We do giveaways right there. We have trading courses, private sales whenever the market recovers. So that's definitely a place where you want to be. And if you don't, completely fine. I'm gonna stay here on YouTube as well. It's my job. I make $600 a month. but I will survive, man. And you will too, because hey, it is coming. It is coming, and it's gonna be good for us. So thanks for watching. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn the bell notification on. I'll see you in the next one.